Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today for the Buzz with Bizzy Crochet. We are going to be talking today with Sonya Blackstone from Blackstone Designs, and I'm going to bring her right on right away. But real quick, I want to tell you, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe and that you do the little bell so that you get our notifications anytime that we go live. Hey, Sonya, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, Sonya and I have known each other for almost a year now, on more of a personal level than just designers, because she joined me for my crochet along last Christmas and was one of my guest designers. And we did an interview, something like this. And she was my very first interview that I'd ever done. So it was completely awkward for me. She thinks it went well, but I think that I should have done better. But so now here we are again, and we get to chit chat on a different level this time.
Yeah.
But I do want you to, since this is a slightly different format than we did the first time, I want you to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, like your family, anything that you would like to share about who you are.
Well, Sonya Blackstone from Blackstone Designs. I live just kind of a quiet little Maine life with my husband, my 3 kids, crochet, crafting. I mean, it's my lifeblood. It really is. I've just got to be creating all the time.
Hmm.
So, that's it. I mean, it's really me in a nutshell. Um,
Yeah.
my family's super important to me. So that's, the other half of my time.
Yeah. You said that you're homeschoolers as well, right?
Yes, yeah, we homeschooled my daughter. I didn't homeschool my older boys because, well, I had them much younger. So
Uh-huh.
my daughter was born when my boys were 12 and 9.
Okay.
So when they were growing up, I didn't even really know that homeschooling was a thing like that, that it
Mhm.
was like so easy and you can just keep your kids at home and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about it until I had her and she started, and she actually started in public school.
Okay.
But then COVID hit and we had already been talking about
Mhm.
maybe, starting the homeschool thing. And then it was like, you know what? Now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
And
And how's she doing with that?
wonderful. It's people don't really realize, I think, how simple it really is.
Mhm.
It's not public school. And people don't, I think, realize maybe that public school is such a long school day for many reasons.
Mhm. Mhm.
You've got a lot of kids in one classroom, so you have to be able to get everybody through the curriculum, so that takes up
Right.
time. Also, it's beneficial to parents that work outside of the home,
Mhm.
that, they need a place for their kids to be during the day, so it's a lot
Definitely,
different when you
definitely.
do it at home, and it's just like a few hours a day, really,
Mhm.
and it's not all book work. You
Right.
go outside and walk the trails and you know what I mean? So, it's a lot
Yeah.
different, and it's been amazing,
I
really.
homeschooled both of my kids all the way through graduation, and, we did a lot of online schooling, and we would get connected, and they actually graduated through the Florida virtual school system, so,
Nice.
um, but yeah, no, it's a blessing, and, for if you're a traveling family or anything like that, it's amazing, you get to take everything with you. So let's go and talk about your designing though. I want people to know who you are as a designer. And one of my favorite things that I found when I found you, I don't even know how I found you. I think I just happened to see something go across in a group on Facebook. And oh, I know what it is. It's Instagram. I found you on Instagram because I started following you because of your hot pads that you
Okay.
do that you can tuck things into. I absolutely fell in love with those patterns. And so but tell us, like, how did you find that niche? Because it seems like a lot of your patterns seem to be very gift oriented.
Yeah, here's the thing. People, when they crochet, want to be able to share that, right? You
Yeah.
crochet something, but you're never thinking like, I'm going to crochet myself a blanket. I'm going to crochet myself a pair of socks. It's like, I want to make this for my mom. I want to make this for my
Yeah.
sister, my son, whatever it is. And I
Mhm.
do always think that way. I've received a lot of crochet stuff over, because it's a family craft for us. My
Oh,
great grand,
okay.
so everybody's crocheted. And but when you get a gift and it's crochet or even knit or whatever, sometimes you're like, You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
thing, like, not to be judgmental or whatever. But it's just that you just kind of have a reaction. Do you really love it? And crochet just happens to be one of those things where some people are very about getting it,
yeah.
right? So
Yes,
I always think that way. What would be
mhm,
a fun thing that you can make and then you can gift it and somebody would be like, "Oh my God, that's fun. That's cute. What a great
yeah,
idea." And I
yeah.
also love to design in a way that's more of a blank slate. So I will get you most of the details, but then you can add to them, which I
I
think
love
is
that.
fun because it makes it easier for you to be able to personalize it.
Yes.
So I try to keep, like, when I do my photography, I try to keep it a little bit more neutral so that
Mhm,
you can be more imaginative. Like, what tags are you going to hang off? They're like a to and from. Are you going to do that? Are you going to add,
mhm.
like, say, my cats, for instance? You could add an actual little tag on there, and that could be part of the gift. Say
Yeah.
your daughter just got a cat, or your adult daughter, I would assume.
Right, right.
Might like to bake, I don't know. But, what if you get a cat tag and you hung a real one? Things like that. Just
Yeah.
fun things you could do to think about on your own.
Yeah. You had mentioned personalizing. I think that's one of the fun things about your patterns is that, and I try to do the same thing myself when I'm designing, is I want to give options because I want you to be able to, I'm giving it, like you said, a guidance, but I really
Yes,
want you to express yourself in what you're making.
right.
So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. What have you got coming up? I did look at your blog and stuff like that just to see where you were kind of at, and I noticed that you've done a little bit of you've done that yarn off. Is that what you called it?
Yes. So
Yes.
we have
And
another one coming up. Yep. So
okay.
Off is a fun little challenge. I actually started it with a different designer many years ago.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't really design anymore, but it was Ray Lynn from Alley Cats Hats and Crafts. So
Okay.
we kind of started this little thing. I don't know if you were crocheting or like in the community this way back
No,
when Battle
it
of
took me a long time to get into the community.
So Battle of the Stitches was this fun crochet competition where we were all assigned like the same stitch, and then we just kind of had to go with it.
Oh, fun.
And me and there was like a theme, I think. Maybe. I don't really remember that part. But we all had the same stitch, but me and Ray Lynn made the same exact design.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
and it was really weird with me and her because there was so many similarities just in our lives. We
Mhm.
grew up like um, a couple of towns apart from each other.
Oh my
We never
gosh.
knew each other though, right? So we went to like neighboring high schools but we never knew each other. We're the same age. Like our even like weird stuff down to our daughters are Haley and Bailey, and they have the same birthday, different
That's
years. Right?
funny.
So like then we made these bags and they were like these market bags
Uh-huh.
and they were like same colors. They looked the same, like it was wild. So we're like,
Oh
we
my
really
gosh.
have to do something kind of creative with this. So that's really where it started. We decided, we're going to use the same exact colors. We're going to do the same theme,
Yeah.
same exact yarn in
Uh-huh.
general, and see what we can do. And it's kind of fun now because the community over competition um,
Mhm.
has really, picked up steam
Risen.
in the last couple of years.
Yes,
And so it's fun to be like, look, we can have the same theme. We can use the same exact yarn and we're
for
still
sure.
individual designers. And even if things come out a little bit similar, they're not the same. You know
No.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you do see that overlap and then people are like, ooh, who did this and who.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
nice to be like, you can show a different side of it.
Yeah. And that's really great that you brought up the community over competition because and it has risen so much over the last couple of years. And I want to say that I probably didn't really pay attention to it until the last year. But I've noticed that there's a lot more collaborating happening,
Mm,
it seems. And I really like that because, like you said, it just makes space for
yes.
everybody because this is not, there's room for everybody here. Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
I mean, here's a
Um,
great example in
yeah.
that respect. I start, my little animal soup bowl cozies. And I do
Yes.
like animal heads, right? Well, there's
Love
a
those.
whole nother like animal pattern going around that's animal soup bowl cozies, but she's
Yeah.
adding the body. So she's got the little head at the top and the arms,
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so is it the same similar idea? Absolutely. You know, maybe she could have been inspired by me. I didn't see hers first, but I could have been inspired by her. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But they're still different, so there's space for both things, you know.
Yeah. I always live by the thing that not theory, the saying that there's really nothing new under the sun.
Yeah,
If you see it, it's been done before.
yeah,
As it is, like, I I have books from back in the '90s when I first started getting back into crocheting from,
yeah,
White House of Birches or something like that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Leisure Arts, and
And they're not even a thing anymore.
right, and
Yeah.
there are blankets
Oh,
in
leisure
there.
arts,
Leisure Arts, yes, they're about the only one
but
that
not
managed
what.
to
Yeah.
hang around, but, yeah, some of these are, like, vintage. And,
Mhm.
um I remember seeing blankets in those books that I am seeing others designing now. I'm like,
Well,
"Hey, wait a minute, that was so and so's." Like, you know what? They probably don't even know that this book exists.
maybe,
And
but some
it
people think that we don't all know that these books exist too. So yeah,
that's true.
I
I
don't
mean,
know which way that is, but I get
there's some
what you're
overlap
saying.
there.
But yeah.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that, oh, I forgot what I was saying. I'm just gonna ask this. How long have you been designing for? Because I know that you have been on the scene for quite some time, but where did you start?
Well, so I started designing in 2012, and it
Mm,
really was just like this whim. I decided I was going to start doing craft fairs, and so I was
mhm.
crocheting stuff. And then I was like, when you have to make like more than one of something, and it's
Oh
like
my
so
God, yes.
painful, right? So I kind of started getting like bored with doing that, and I'm like, what can I do? And I designed this cute little duck, this little
Mm.
stuffed duck, and he was quick, and he was cute, and he was fun to and they sold like crazy at craft fairs, and I was like, oh my god, like I kind of felt like I was onto something with that. So then I really enjoyed it, right? And all the different color combinations. And then Gail, I still remember her name. At the time I was just selling my finished items under the name Beautiful Ducklings, actually. So I
Oh,
made him like my
fun.
little mascot.
Yeah.
And Gail messaged me and she was like, where can I get that pattern?
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I could write that down for you." Had no idea. No idea what I was doing, but that sparked something, I'm telling you, and
mm.
that was like November, I think, of 2012, and I just started designing stuff from there.
So I have a question for you, only because I didn't. Did you have your first pattern tested?
Mm-mm. No, I had no idea. I wasn't even putting the gauge in my beginning patterns.
Oh
I
my
had
God.
clueless,
I
completely clueless.
I didn't
Some of those
either, and
beginning
it was the
patterns.
bane of my existence because I put it out there, and I think the same time, 2012, and, oh my god. Oh, it was such a nightmare, and I'll tell you what, that pattern was a learning experience, though.
Yeah. And I still have a lot of those beginner patterns that, the intention is there, the want is there
Mhm.
to go back through and get them retested and rephotographed, but
Same.
the time and I'm such a forward motion person that I don't always want to go back. So it's hard for me to like
Yeah,
make that space in my brain to be like, okay, let's clean some of this old stuff up because I just want to
yeah.
make something new.
Right, I'm the same way, though. I'm like, once I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I'm a designer, not a creator, not a maker, because I, like you, get bored easily, and I have to move on. It's just I'm once I've done it, I've done it, and the challenge is over. Do you find that you're maybe a forward person and a creator because you're looking for a new challenge each time? It's like that new thrill.
Oh yeah. It's like learning new types of I mean, I bought an iPad just so I could learn Procreate. Like, I
Oh,
love that.
okay.
You know what I
What
mean?
is
So,
Procreate?
it's it's a like art program where
Okay.
you can do like so much stuff with it. But like graphic design, I guess basically.
Okay.
But I mean, there's just so many capabilities. So many
Wow.
capabilities with it. So
I'm
you
gonna have to write that down because I've not I don't know where I've been, what rock I've been under, but I haven't heard of
it's just
that.
so much fun, and you can get different brushes to do different effects and
Okay.
like, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to learn. And me and my daughter, she's very, very artsy. So she loves to draw. She's like drawing all day long. And we've been looking at it for a little while. And it was just like, let's just do it. Let's just get it and let's play with this program. So sometimes I'll be like, I think I'm in the mood to use it. And sometimes she's like, we're having this
Yeah.
back and forth. But
That's nice that it's kind of a bonding thing as well.
yeah, yeah,
So your little designer, or not your little designer, your little ducky, created. So you
yeah,
now have though a niche or specialty, it seems like, of the gift items. And you had said that, it was based off of that desire for people to be able to gift. Um, what I want to know is like what sparks the ideas, because you just put out this last, I want to say it must have been the beginning of the year, the dog hot pads.
yeah.
So what in the world makes you just choose what you design? Because like they're always so cute,
Thank
but
you.
they're very, like they're super oh, what is the word I'm looking for? Come on, Biz. Um I want specialized is the word that keeps coming to mind, but it's not the one that I was thinking of. But like very nichey, you know what I mean? Like
Like
it's
very
very,
specific.
yeah, there we go. Thank you. Oh my God. Woo! Hormones today or something.
No, I hear you. I do it all the time. So the dog specifically came from the cat, which I did back in October, September, October. And that was because me and Jen, who are now doing the yarn off challenges,
Mhm.
always do these like quarterly cows where we just kind of pick like a theme. So usually it has something to do with the time of year. We usually always do one that's Halloween themed and one that's Christmas themed.
Mhm.
So for the Halloween theme this past time, we decided to do Black Cat. So she did a
Oh,
Black
okay.
Cat
Yeah.
towel and I did the Black Cat pot holder.
Mhm.
And it's kind of something me and her do. This is Jen from A Crocheted Simplicity, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Anybody watching might not know what I'm talking about. Um, so we kind of have this thing now where we're doing the matching pot holder and towel
Uh-huh.
because when we first my very first pot holder was the snowman one, and I did a Santa at the same time, and it was
Okay.
part of a crochet along. At
Okay.
the time, it was the four of us was Jen from A Crocheted Simplicity, Pam from Sincerely Pam, and Crystal from
Mm.
Crystallized Designs. And so that theme was something Christmassy. I made the two pot holders. It was just kind of on a whim. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
the pocket pot holders? I had cricketed on the ones from the Dollar Tree for gifts like probably the
Yeah.
previous year, right? I'm like, oh, how can I do that in crochet? And then
Yeah.
whatever, juices full. And I did not, by the way, expect them to be as popular as they were because it was a last minute, I've got to make something for this crochet along. And I had
Right.
thing. And so I was just like, okay, well, and you just kind of throw it out into the universe, hope it works. And it did. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay. So it was just kind of one of those happy accidents. Like I love them. I thought they were fun, but you just never know.
Yeah. I
And
really love the characters.
yeah, so and I do a lot of those. I don't know if you've seen my character baskets.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of the pants baskets that were really popular. So in that way, I knew kind of what theme works well. Like snowman. I mean, anything you can make snowman, just get it out there because snowman is super popular every single year.
Yes. Well, and I think snowmen in general are just a really popular theme.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this up just so that you can. Mary would like to know what that thing was to design. I think she's referring to the Procreate. Her granddaughter Sky wants to design. Hi, Mary.
Okay, so Procreate is it's like a graphic design. You can draw pictures and you can even trace things. So you can import photos. I don't know if maybe you guys have seen this. They're like super popular right now. Faceless portraits. Somebody like,
Mm,
so you
no.
send a picture in and somebody will like really just trace over it and color it all in, but they don't do anything with the face. Probably started with somebody like me that cannot do faces. Even if you trace it, it doesn't look right. So, but things like that, you can do fun things like that down
Okay.
to coming up with anything on your own. You can sketch out simple designs for crochet even in it.
Wow.
I've done that. I've sat down and like done my little,
Yeah, I
okay.
was gonna ask you, do you use any programming, or are you like a pencil sketcher like I am?
It depends on what it is. I'm a pencil sketcher. I'm
Mm,
like, I don't know if it's just the generation, but
Mm,
I'm a pen to paper kind of person.
me
Like, it's
too.
hard for me. I have to print things out in order
Yeah.
to, like, read them and absorb them because, like, reading
Uh-huh.
it on the computer is, like, I don't know why, right over
Yeah.
my head. So
Yeah.
I definitely always start there, and I pretty much sketch everything before I make it. But
Yeah.
then, obviously, if it's gonna be a graph, I do that on Stitch Fiddle.
Yes, I do the same thing. That's the only thing I use Stitch Fiddle for is that when I'm figuring out graphs and things like that. I
Yeah.
don't do a lot of graphing. Do you? And I don't remember seeing a lot of graphing in your work. Do you
I
have?
I've only done a few, like, I did my astrology Afghan, which is
Yeah.
Afghan, and then my
Mhm.
what did I end up naming it? Peking Santa? What did I name it? Oh my god. Santa window pane Afghan. But
Oh,
that
yeah,
one,
yeah.
yeah, I split that into 9 squares, but it's like so it looks like Santa's, like, outside your window,
Oh,
and that's a
cute.
graph, so I used it for that. That's actually why I originally got Stitch Fiddle because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, I really wanna how am I gonna do this? I have to put this into Stitch Fiddle, there's just no way I'm gonna figure
Yeah.
that out on graph paper," you know what I
No,
mean?
what a smart idea, though.
It's fun, and I have other designs, like, how cute would it be to have, like, a snowman or the reindeer? And originally, my Santa one, I did have a reindeer. I was gonna have Santa with the reindeer, like, looking over him, but I
Uh-huh.
don't know why I ended up going a different direction, but I did.
So you have mentioned cows as well. Do you have very many cows?
Usually, I just do them with Jen, and
Okay.
I go through different, I think, years where I'm more motivated than others. Like, you just go
Mm,
through the burnout. Nobody starting
mhm.
out thinks it's going to happen to them, but it will.
Yeah.
It'll hit you eventually. It just does. You go through it and you're like, just trying to get through the day. And what can I accomplish today? And next thing you know, it's been 2 weeks and you haven't posted anything on social media. And,
Mhm.
it's just
Mhm.
hard sometimes. So, I think me and her are actually both going through it right now. So that's a little tough, but
Yeah.
we kind of keep each other going, like, okay, we need to post and we need, and so that's good, like the accountability partner kind of thing.
I wonder if it's a time of year thing.
Winter is terrible. And so
Mm.
she lives in Michigan. So me
Okay,
and
so you
her
guys are
both
both dealing with gray skies.
yeah, and she gets way more snow than we do, but
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
And
so
that's
it's just
crazy, Michigan versus Maine, because you would think that both of them get kind of the same amount.
but she's the upper peninsula, so she's even more north
Mm,
than I am, I think. And
yeah.
but it's just that time of year. Even if you're in
Mhm,
Florida, it gets
mhm.
a little darker and it just
Oh, for sure. Well, because
and
I was talking with somebody recently about the fact that, yeah, we've got sun down here, except that sun is so different from, when I lived in Wisconsin.
yeah.
I sit outside for 5 minutes and I can smell my skin.
Yes, like you
So
went
that
to a tanning yeah,
yes, like I can physically smell my skin starting to burn because I'm very fair skinned.
yeah.
And I've always said that, I missed out on all the good Italian genes. I got the German ones that I'm either red or I'm white. There's really no
Yeah.
happy in between. And my husband turns into this bronze god when summer hits. So,
Yeah.
um, I always feel like I got cheated. But so yeah, I can't be out in the Florida sun like, you would think, oh, you live in Florida. Why don't you have a tan? Well, because the sun makes me sick.
Yeah. I don't do heat well anyway. I never
Mhm.
have, and I don't know. It's just, I'm, like, so excited. This week is supposed to be beautiful weather all week here,
Uh-huh.
and we need it. You come out of that, like, crappy winter, like,
Yes.
I need the nice warm weather, but then I know
Yes.
it's around the corner, and I'm gonna be stuck back inside again because I can't do heat. I'd rather
Yes.
the winter cold
It's that
than the
little window of time.
yes. Yep.
So do you also crochet outside? Do you take any projects with you when you
I will, and I did a lot when the boys were younger.
Mhm.
My daughter was just a baby and they were doing school sports, soccer and stuff. So you can just sit out
Yeah.
there on the sideline and crochet.
Mhm.
Um, so if I take her to the park, for instance, sometimes I'll take my crochet with me. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
depends.
I try to take a project bag with me everywhere that I go. I don't always touch it
Yeah.
necessarily, but I have it with me. It's almost like a security blanket.
Yes, yeah.
'Cause you're like,
I
if I
agree.
find myself in a seriously boring situation where I can't function, I will just
Yeah.
pull out the needles. Or
Yes.
do you find that your yarn and hook I just had a thought because when I'm in social settings and I do have my yarn with me or my needles or whatever, sometimes it's not necessarily I'm bored. Sometimes it's I'm so comfortable. I feel like I can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because some situations feel like, what are people gonna yeah.
Yeah, like
I
maybe
was
this
like that
isn't
at
the right
first,
place.
I think. I felt a little bit more shy about it, but, once you kinda turn it into your career, like,
Mhm.
whatever, it's who I am now, so this is
Yeah.
what I do. But
We were we
first
were at a meeting with our new pastors, recently, and my mom and dad were there, and my dad said, "You don't have yarn with you?" And he turned to him and said, "You guys should feel lucky. She usually has a bag of yarn with her." So, yeah, that's become kind of my go-to. Okay, so do you have a favorite pattern of all of the ones that you've made?
I don't. It changes every time I make something new probably, but,
Yeah,
I have a few that I think maybe we talked about this last time, but, the duck, obviously, that's what got
yeah.
me started,
Mhm.
so that kinda holds a special place for me.
Right.
The Chili Cables coat again, I made that, and I will tell you, um, when I first started designing, it was like, early December, my husband got laid off from his job.
Oh,
So
goodness.
it was like right after I had designed that first duck, and I was still
Mhm.
doing the craft fairs, but then this became like our income. And I
Yes,
was
wow.
pregnant with my daughter. So I was very pregnant with my daughter. I mean, she was born a month later. So,
Yeah,
it was like, where am I going to get hired when they know so it was like this
yeah.
very just this trying time for us.
Kind of like
And
a do or die situation.
yes. And then, when you recover from that, like, he finds another job, but now we're doing the catch up thing, right? So we
Mhm.
we kind of lived like that for a little while, and I designed that Chili Cables coat again, and Tamra from Moogly shared it on her page. She liked it and shared it, and like everybody started buying it, and it was like
Yeah,
this amazing. I made so much money from that,
yeah.
and it just like it's another one of those that holds a special place in my heart.
Mhm.
But that was the first time I actually, like, really made an income off of, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I just sold
Mhm.
so many that it was like that renews your,
It
like,
does. You all of a sudden
yeah,
realize this is something I can do.
yes, and you can make real money off this,
Mhm.
because there really is the difference between whether it's a hobby or whether it's your career,
Mhm.
and some days I do wish it was still just my hobby, just to be clear about that, because there's a lot that
Some
goes into
days I still treat it like it's a hobby.
it. But, you know, so I don't wanna be like, "Oh, it's all about the money," but, in a way, you
Well,
have
when
to
it
be able
becomes your
to.
business, it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was really exciting. So those 2 patterns for me are super special. I
Mhm.
have to say, for different reasons, but, I can say the same thing about, my baskets, my,
Mhm.
Santa and my elf one year that I came so I started actually with the bunny pants, like the funny bunny pants, and
Uh-huh.
then my friend Sherry was like, "You need to make these into Santa and an elf." And so we did that, and then that pattern sold like crazy, and I couldn't even believe how popular they really were.
Yeah. Well, it's
And that
something so
started the whole
different.
what's that?
It's something so different, you
Yeah,
know? That's kind of the beauty of having a very nichey style and really having something that stands out and it's set apart from. And I always say I don't wanna be white noise, and that's how
yeah,
I feel when I'm designing. I'm very aware of, what's out there, and I only say that because I haven't happened to actually read on a different group today, somebody that said, "I don't pay attention to anybody else's designs because I don't wanna be influenced by anyone." And I completely understand where that's coming from, and yet on the other hand, I make sure that I'm aware of what's out
yeah,
there because I don't want my stuff to look like anybody
yeah,
else's,
and I've
even if
seen it
it's
go
my
both
original
ways.
idea. What's that?
I've been around long enough to see that go both ways. You have some
Yeah.
people that legitimately are like, and I actually have kind of swung that way more. I think part of it's just the burnout. Like, I just don't know what the hell's going on around me. Oh, sorry if I
Nah,
where
don't
people
worry
don't like
about it.
but I used to be very hyper aware and of everything that was going on and try to be very
Mhm.
careful. And I was trying to be very intentionally different. So I would try to use stitches like you're not seeing anywhere. And, and it's funny because like designing sweaters that I intentionally would try to make, and they're not as popular as the ones that are like similar, like
Mhm.
the Chili Cables coat again, for instance, there's braided cable sweaters,
Mhm.
and that one just happens to be the more popular of them.
Mhm.
Whereas, say, maybe my whatever sweater isn't as popular as that. And that one's very
Mhm.
different. That one's like you can choose which way you want. Do you want it to be an open front cardigan or do you want it to be a pullover? There's both instructions in
Mm.
there, so you can work it either
Mhm.
way. And the stitch work is a little different. Now, I happen to really love the sweater, but it
Yeah.
wasn't as popular as, say, the cabled one.
Isn't it funny? Do you find that there are things that you are absolutely love this, and then you put it out there and it's crickets?
Yes.
Have you ever had that
Oh, yeah.
happen? I've had that happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's happened to me quite a bit. I mean, I have like 400, I think, patterns. I don't even
You
know
have
how
a
many.
lot.
But,
I
yeah,
look
I
at
mean
you and I go, "Oh my god, crochet goals, hashtag," you know, like,
yeah.
I maybe have over 100, but that's a
It's just
lot.
very reflective, though. I think I will binge crochet. I have so many ideas and so much motivation, and I'll, like, put
Mm.
out 100 in a week, and then, like, for the next 6 months, I don't do anything, It's, like, very
Yeah, oh yeah.
reflective of how I am, but, I mean, I've also what, 10 years, so
Yeah, yeah. That's still really great though. Okay, so I do have a couple questions more for you that were not on our list. Um, what is your favorite part of designing?
oh, unleashing the creativity. Just my brain's always working that way. I do
Mhm.
more than just crochet. I sew, I knit even. I love woodworking. I mean, I
Mhm.
adore that. That would be, well, I don't know. Sewing maybe might be my second place. I'm not sure. But
So you are definitely a multi-crafter.
yeah. And so I just anytime I can let that out, and for crocheting, coming up with like the fun details that will really, you know, make you, I don't know. Like for instance, the cat. I had been doing a lot of those pot holders, like
Mhm.
squares. Sorry, my allergies are just killing me today.
Oh, you're fine.
But so with the cat, I was like, I'm gonna do it a little different. And so I sat down, I sketched a few different shapes. And originally I was gonna give him like a more noticeable body head difference.
Mhm.
And then I just like went with I just sketched out like the bean shape and I was the egg shape or whatever. And I
Yeah.
was like, I think I like that better. It was just kind of had more of a cutesy feel.
Yeah.
So I went with that. And like duh, like squishmallows. So later on I realized like, oh, that's really similar. No wonder why I like that. It's probably just one of those things you see it and you
That's
know you
funny.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so just coming up with the different details for that. Oh, you know what? Let's add the collar on there. That
Mhm.
wasn't a part of the original design, but
Yeah,
so those are the fun parts, and then seeing
I
it
agree.
like once it's
Yes.
all done and you see it and you're like, yes, that's.
Yeah, and as you're making plans and you're working on it, that having to pivot and, maybe what you had in your mind isn't working.
Yes.
And because there have been Afghans that I've been like, it's going to be this, it's going to be this, it's going to be this. And I get to that and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
God, that looks awful. And so you
Yeah.
have to, so do you ever set your projects in the naughty corner
Oh my gosh, yes.
when they're not
How many
working?
I have totes and totes full of naughty. I mean, over 10 years, yeah, there's a lot of them. I have sweaters and
Oh
everything.
my gosh.
I mean, slippers and every sort of project. Every once in a while, I'll pull them out and be like, I'm just going to finally finish this. And I'm like, no, I forget I hate you.
Yes. So, do you feel like you should frog any of those and so that you can repurpose the yarn, or is it just one of those
That's
things where
one of
you're like,
those.
maybe I'll finish it?
Yeah, see, that's one of those forward motion things for me. I like to keep going. And if it's really just recently that I started like pulling back and finishing. Like if it
Mhm,
didn't work out, I'd be like, I'm done. Like
mhm.
I'm not doing it. But recently I've been a little more mature about the situation.
That is so funny.
Yeah, it depends on what it is, I guess. And I like smaller projects. That's another thing I think you'll find.
Mm,
I'm more somebody that enjoys quicker projects. Before I became a designer and I was crocheting
mhm,
things, I mean, even doing amigurumi, I like the different pieces. So
Mhm,
you might do the body and then do the head and then do the ears or something, and it's
mhm.
giving you sort of a different project to
Yeah,
work on instead of one big piece. Even if it was
mm,
a giant stuffed animal, you're working separate pieces, you know?
yeah. So
And
you're
so
definitely a process creator.
yeah. But I just like things that I can done and on to the next. The quick,
Okay.
like these aren't going to take you the whole week to get done. And some people really love those kind of projects. I'm just not one of those people. So that's
Mhm,
why, like, I never even thought I would ever design a blanket because
mhm.
of just the longer marathon. And I
Yeah.
just don't love them as much. But then every once in a while, I get the itch to make another sweater. I haven't done garments in a long, really in a long time, except a tank top I did for my daughter last year. You know,
Uh-huh.
so I go back and forth.
Garments are a dream thing for me, and I think I've probably said this in every interview so far, is that I would love to get into designing garments, but it's like I can't get my brain past being super technical and just doing it and flying with it, and so it's one of those things that's gonna sit on the back burner until I can get myself past it, but
Oh, do it. Go for it. What's
so
start with a baby one, or a doll size something and see if
yeah.
like work that out in your brain.
Yeah,
You
see,
can
the
always
crazy
start
thing
super
is
small.
you have American Girls designs, and
Yeah.
I that's one of the things that I started with as far as designing,
Oh,
and
did you?
as
Yeah.
long as I've got something to try it on, I don't have a problem making it, but I
Yes.
think I can't I'm like, "Oh, well, I don't have any little children, so I can't make little children things," and I love
Yeah.
children's clothing, it's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things to make.
Yeah. It's like, I know my daughter's bigger now. She's a size 10. She's not that little size 2 anymore.
I know.
Yeah. So I don't really mind that's not that much bigger now, but
Mhm.
it's definitely not. Yeah. And
Well,
I
it
don't
just
have,
takes longer, I think.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of my designs, I'll have them, baby child and adult. So like having
Mhm.
to make three, and thankfully I've had some great testers over the years that do
Yeah,
have children. So that's
yeah.
the perk. But you know, um, Edie was Edie Ekman,
Epperman?
she has that pattern grading workshop. We don't know the cost of that.
No,
Years
I've looked
ago,
it up.
yeah. Years ago, I did it with Kim Guzman.
Okay.
She had just like, I don't know if she still has it. She still does it. She
Mhm,
did just, she sold Crochet Kim website and then
mhm,
just kind of did the food blog with her son for a while. And
mhm.
now she started Make It Crochet. So she's back doing that stuff. So who knows? She might offer it again. I don't know. But when she offered it, it was like $40. Everything
Mm,
was like right in Excel and it's super easy pattern grading. There's just
okay.
a formula for it.
Yeah.
So that might be more helpful.
Well, it's definitely something to look into, and being a member of, Crochet Guild of America too, they've got a lot of courses that you can sign up for through them,
Yes.
and usually at, like, a discount,
Yep.
where they're not so crazy, and I've looked at those, and they're on my goal list. It's been a funky year for me, and when you had said, because you and I talked recently, and you had said you've been a little messy and depressy, and I was like, "Oh my god, I completely understand that because this has
Yeah.
just been a funky year for me." And
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It was like after January hit and about 2/3 of the way through January, all of a sudden it was like, I just didn't want to, you
Yeah.
know?
It's
Like
like you
there's
can't
just a whole
function.
yeah, there's like a whole lot of I don't wanna.
Yes.
It's
Yes, exactly.
happening. And so I've just been working on me projects. I've very little bit of designing and stuff like that, but I mostly me projects. Do you know what I mean? Just things that
Yeah.
make me happy, gifts I wanted to make for people. Do you find that when you're in your kind of messy and depressy, do you still work on projects but gear it towards yourself, or do you just not touch things at all?
I usually don't do a lot of designing, but I will intentionally sign up for like crochet alongs or blog hops or whatever because it
Mhm.
forces me
Yeah.
to. Um, I like just did. Oh my gosh, See, like that's how messy and depressed I've been. I cannot remember the names of things, but I just did a crochet along with Marie from Underground Crafter, for instance.
Uh-huh.
And that forced me, I'm not going to let Marie down. I'm not going to not come through. So
Right.
it might have even been a little bit painful for me to like even focus on it whatsoever, but
Mhm.
it makes me do something, makes me keep going.
Mhm.
I actually have another thing coming with her this month. I think it's the 28th is my day. I'm doing her melange blanket cowl. So I just designed a square for that. I'm not going to show it because,
Yeah, no. I
it's
mean,
a week to week thing, but I'm
right.
pretty sure my date is the 28th. So that's a fun one too. So it's like a new square every week.
Mhm.
So that's good. I did sweet potato 3. She just had a thing for March because March is National Crochet Month,
Yeah.
where she was doing like stitch tutorials. And I don't
Mhm.
have a lot of that on my website. Honestly, I started off like listing in Ravelry, and that
Yeah.
was like my whole business model, you know.
Yeah.
I would find it and I would put them on Ravelry, and I had a blog, but I like did not touch my blog. And it
Yeah.
was like that for many years.
Yeah.
I probably had my website for like, I don't know, 6 years or something, and I never really did anything with it. Like
Mhm.
twice a year I'd post on there. So I don't actually have a lot of stitch tutorials. I don't really have much for YouTube. I don't,
Mhm.
someday I think to myself, I'll add that and I'll get all these tutorials. And, God knows people ask me all the time, is there a video for this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just didn't start. I started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
There just wasn't always the video. And I started,
Video was not as big 10 years ago. It just wasn't.
no. And 20 years ago, when I learned to crochet, like
Mhm.
there was no video,
No.
and the instructions were very, very short.
There was a lot of frogging, a
Yeah.
lot of frogging,
Yeah.
and there were phone calls to my grandma. "Grandma,
Yeah.
how do I do this?"
Yeah. I would call my mom. I don't understand what they're saying, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's
Well, and
different because different parts of the world write things differently. And I remember
absolutely.
one time I bought the first like pattern I ever bought off Etsy, and I had no idea what this lady was trying to tell me to do, to decrease or something. I think that's what it was surrounding, though, decreasing. And the way
Uh-huh.
she wrote it, I'm like, I was one of those butt heads that was like, look, I've been crocheting for a long time and this doesn't make any sense.
I have gotten those comments.
And
I've
I hate them
crocheted
now,
for 50 years
but
and
I
I don't understand what
understand.
this is. Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
That's
so
funny. That is really funny. Um, alrighty. So we're gonna it doesn't seem like there's anybody on here for chatting, but I'm gonna go ahead and just ask you some questions anyway, because we're gonna start winding down now.
okay.
Um, how do you feel over the years how your crochet aesthetic has changed from the beginning when you started to now and the things that you focus on? How do you feel like that's evolved?
I think I do more of the quick, fun, giftable stuff now. I'm
Mhm.
very much about functional. I think amigurumi is its own thing,
Yeah.
and it can be super fun. But if I were to say want to make somebody an elephant, I would want to add an element that's like, oh, how can we use this though? Right?
Yeah.
Like I have bird baskets. They're square baskets with a bird head and bird feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now we have an amigurumi bird, but you can put it on your desk and put pens in it, And
Yes. It's
so
not
that's
just a
kind of how.
stuffed animal.
So I do love amigurumi, and I do
Mhm.
have a few patterns that are just stuffed animals. And they have their place. I love them. They're cute. They're fun giftables, but they're just not as functional. That's something that's going on a shelf or the back of the couch. And when you do a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
this stuff,
Absolutely.
and you're a crocheter and you have 400 patterns, you don't want 400 patterns hanging around the house. Like it's just,
No.
that's too much crochet in one spot. So,
Yeah.
I always think like that. And I think I've evolved more that way.
I you saying that that's funny. I've got a tote because I am primarily a blanket designer.
Yeah.
And my husband, as he stuffed another blanket in the tote, he's like, "How many of these do we have to keep?" And I've actually had
All of
people
them.
I know, I've actually had people say, "Why don't you sell these?" These are my children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who sells their children? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So do you have any tips that you would want to give for somebody who was maybe wanting to step into becoming a designer or a fiber artist in any way? you know, you and I've been around long enough to have seen the industry change quite a bit, you
Yes.
know, from the beginning when we started to now where things are. It seems like they've come out with so many. I'm sorry, I'm kind of answering, but I'm gonna give you time to talk. It seems like they've come out with so many ways for things to be so much easier and accessible as
Yes.
far as, like, crochet designers and stuff like that, like Ribbler and all of that stuff, and
Yeah.
even for the end user, for it to be just so much user friendly. Do you have any tips for crochet designers or fiber artists that are starting out? What would you avoid? What would you make priority? And obviously, of course, it has to be tailorable to yourself.
Definitely. I mean, the first thing I would say is anybody that's thinking, "Oh, I just do it. Just do it." Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna figure it out. But definitely there's so many avenues. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So what can keep your interest? What can you do? For instance, certainly you can do YouTube, but you're better off to start a blog and start working towards being able to put ads on there. You can
Mhm.
embed your YouTube videos in there, and that's going to count towards
Mhm.
your watch. You know what I mean? Like the way to
Mhm.
streamline this and focus on what really is of interest to you. Some people really love being in front of the camera, and that's just like that is their jam.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
then, yeah, focus on YouTube. Um, and then put your patterns everywhere. None of us like the fees. None of us like the fees. We're all like raging in our living rooms about this, but
Mhm.
Etsy
Like,
has a weird
thank you, Etsy, for taking, like, a quarter of my profits here.
exactly. Like it's unbelievable. However, Etsy also has the reach. So, it's like it's
Mhm.
a painful give and take.
One hand washes the other.
Right. But if you don't want to mainly focus on Etsy, still put your patterns there, then you can consider that extra money. Like if
Yeah.
that's not your thing, like
Mhm.
okay, but that's still money coming in. Same with
Exactly.
Ravelry. If you like really love Ravelry, which I might be a little bit opposite these days, you know, I don't focus as much there, but that was my whole business model. Like I said before,
Mine
everything was
too.
Ravelry. I put everything there. I drove all my traffic there and
Yep.
that was it. But
Yeah.
even Lovecrafts, okay, there's a good one. I don't make a ton of money there. I just don't.
Yeah,
And
me either.
Ribbler right now, I don't. Do I focus a ton of my time there? No. Do I put my patterns there? Sure. Like
Mhm.
Lovecrafts is easy to import from Ravelry. So if you go
Right.
right to Ravelry, you put everything there, you can copy and paste it into Etsy, and then you can import it into Lovecrafts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But don't leave these avenues completely
Right.
untouched when there's a possibility. You don't know who's going to see you and see you where. And then
Exactly.
that person could be like, "Oh my god," and share it in a group and like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, everybody loves this." But if you had never put it there to begin with, then that person didn't see it.
And see, I've got things on my blog from, just old patterns, that still have traction, and I'll go on my blog and I'll look at the statistics, and this pattern's super that pattern's super popular. Somebody must have found it and shared it somewhere
Yes,
because, like,
exactly.
why?
And when you have I mean, Etsy does kinda have their, like, groups thing, but, whoever uses that anymore. But Ravelry and Ribbler do, and they're like little community sections, and they are well used.
Yeah.
Uh, so those are 2 places that are good to at least go and share your stuff.
Mhm.
Ribbler, I think they're still fairly new, but I love that they are putting in so many places of the protections in place for designers
Mhm.
because with PDFs you know how they get distributed and
Mhm.
things like that happen, but
Yeah.
Ribbler has it so that that can't happen, so that's amazing.
And with you saying that it's new, I think that, people who are really aware of programs and things like that are the ones that kind of jumped on it right away. Me, I'm one of those old school where, like, "What is this? I've seen 100 of them come
Yeah,
and
yeah,
go."
like
So
yep.
when you told me about Ribbler, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go look at this," and I do actually have a couple patterns on there. It's my intention to get more on there. It's just one of those things like, I gotta sit down for an afternoon and put them up there. You
Yes,
know, be
and I ran into a little like snag that the like like end like the
Mhm.
back door and when
Yeah.
you put your patterns in looks different once it's published, and I didn't know that. And
Oh,
so anytime that you had to do like repeat steps, like say 2 and 3 on across multiple lines, well, it would say that, like, say I had rows 5 through 7, repeat rows 2 to 3. It
mhm.
would say 5, repeat 2 and 3, 6, repeat 2 and 3, 7, repeat 2 and 3. So that's like doubling the, yeah.
Oh my
I didn't know
God.
this, right? And so yeah, that's like a little bit of a thing. And I think
Yeah.
that happened with my puppy dog pot holders. And so
Mm.
I had like listed them all, and then somebody was like, went off on me on Etsy, even though they bought it on Ribbler, and was like, "There's too many rows on there," and blah blah. And I'm like, "What are you like?" I had to go back and look, and like,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't have any patterns or like that." So I think that was the only thing I really ran into as far as like, but otherwise, you copy and paste, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's so
I
quick
had
and
to do a lot of cleanup because mine with Afghans and stuff, I think it's I don't know if it's different or not, but I just felt like there was a lot of cleanup and moving around that I had to do. So that's why I view it as like, oh God, I've got to go do this thing.
or if the lines are too long and then it breaks
Yeah.
it into, and I'm like, yeah, and then you have to like delete. Yeah, I've had those issues
Mm.
too. But for the most part, I'll say,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
just a quick, simple copy paste, and then you have these patterns listed in a whole other place. And even if people aren't really buying,
Mhm.
people are seeing. And if I have
Yes.
that as like a free pattern on my website, maybe people have gone to my website to go find it
Mhm.
instead. So
Do you use TikTok?
you know, I'm just not consistent. I don't even
Yeah.
think probably consistency is a part of my being. So it's very hard for me. I'll use it and I'll get all excited about it, and I can come up with all
Yes.
these fun ideas, and then I'm like, yeah,
Oh
but
God.
then I have to like go put on makeup,
So
or
now I have to
is
actually
this
do it.
sweatshirt appropriate? Then it's like too many steps already, and I'm like, I'm
Yep.
over it. I'll do
Oh
another.
my God. We're like the same person. Gosh. 'Cause that's exactly what happens to me. I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing. I wanna do this." And then as soon as I hit the first, like, "I don't understand what this is," I go, yep, I'm done."
Yeah. Yeah. If
We're
it's
stuck
like too
being
much
friends.
effort, I'm like on to something new. So I do have a TikTok and I do have videos on TikTok, but
Yeah. I mean, the
probably
only
haven't
videos that
swept.
I've managed to put up are where I can just do picture compilations over
Yes.
music. Like, that's all I can figure out how to do. It's just not
And
my
there's so
thing.
much, I actually just watched a tutorial that a woman did about like doing stop motion. There's like a
Mhm.
stop motion effect on TikTok. Like, how fun would that be? Like, for instance, just using that when you're putting your projects together. Cause I do like, say my
Yeah.
super cozy, I just did that giraffe. That could have been a really cute stop motion, but
Yes.
and it's actually super simple to do, but I don't
Wow.
know.
And I did notice so is that a new pattern for you, the giraffe cozy? Because I just actually
No,
noticed it today.
I did that for, it was a crochet along and some, maybe that was the one I did for Marie earlier. This, yeah. I did the giraffe, because she wanted, I think it was actually for the National Crochet Month as well. And
Okay.
she was looking for projects that are like something that the designer really loves about
Mm,
crochet. And for me, those are some of the projects I really love. But kind of like animal things have been like big for me. I
mhm.
used to think I was going to make a book. I want to I want to write a book. Okay. I've
Yeah,
been wanting to
same.
do this like probably since I started. Who knows? But, I in 10 years haven't found the time. But
Yeah,
the character pants baskets was
yeah,
like, I know, I'm like, I'm going to make a book out of these. Like, people are
yeah.
like buying every pattern. How fun would that be? I still have
Mhm.
some designs that I've kept reserved for when I write the book. So
Yeah,
they're not even all out there, all my design ideas.
yeah.
But then I started doing these pot holders and the soup bowl cozies, and I'm like, okay, now we can do this like fun animal kitchen thing. So
Yes.
who knows? But hey, weigh in, poll. What book would you rather see?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
all of them?
But actually, Annie's is coming. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you, but I'm going to. They're coming out with a book later this year, pot holders, and my cat is going to be in it. So
Fun. Good for
and
you.
it's funny because I've been doing, and I've been in, countless magazines and stuff like that, but never been in a crocheted book. I've been in quilting books, which is funny because that's not like my
That's not
full-time career thing. That's like, oh, this is my break away from crochet.
yeah.
But yeah, I've been in quilting books, but never in a crochet book. So I'm pretty
Well,
excited about that.
good for you. That's so super exciting. So, you'll have to let me know when that's supposed to come out so that we can keep, promoting that
Yeah.
and let people know. But is there anywhere that they can sign up with you so that do you do newsletter? Do you
I do have a newsletter. Yep. And
Mhm.
then if you go to my website, I get the pop up that'll come up on you, or you've got and there's one in the sidebar. So yeah.
Okay, good. So make sure that you get signed up on Sonia's newsletter so that you can keep up with the things that are coming up for her. Because I know that you've got more stitch challenges coming up
Yep.
or yarn
Oh, so
challenge.
there should be. Jen just went on vacation
Uh,
to Mexico. So I don't know how crochet she's feeling right now. We were supposed to do one this April, our next yarn off,
uh-huh.
and it's going to be a cute one. And it's going to be like kind of like that perfect time of year one. So I don't want to like
Good.
blow the theme and blow the whole thing, but yeah, it's going to be like one of those ones that's like, okay, cool, I want to do this one. So it'll either be April or May.
Yes. Okay. So you've got yarn off coming up. You've got the book from Annie's that you're going to be in. When that comes out, we want to know. And then also you've always got something so that we can keep up with the different hops and stuff that you're involved in because you've always got really great patterns and they're always fun. And that's one of the things I love about your designs is that you could because you had said you do a lot of animals. I think that animals are so relatable for everybody, and
Yeah.
everybody loves animal patterns. And just because they're like, oh, I love giraffes, or oh, I love dogs, or oh, I love, they
Yes.
want that in their life. They want to be able to create cute things, and especially like you said, for gifting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm just making sure that I've not missed anything. I think that we've hit it all.
Okay.
So we will do another chat at another time. We will,
Yeah.
we'll, oh, I know. I always ask this to end it off. Do you have any favorite TV shows, movies, or genres that you are deeply involved in?
Well, the challenge.
The
MTV's The Challenge,
challenge.
right? And it's funny. You can believe this. I stopped watching the world one. I thought I had watched the whole thing and like I knew who won. And then it occurred to me the other day. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm remembering Australia. That's not the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So I like had 3 episodes to watch. So that was kind of fun. But
That's fun. We always save them up for a couple of weeks. So we've got two in a row.
yeah, so you can binge. Yes. Oh, so
Yeah.
that's the painful thing for me, like watching shows in real time and like have to wait the whole week. But
Like,
that's
what did we do back in the 80s and 90s? Who are we?
outside, I think, but I don't know about you,
Goodbye.
but I wasn't allowed in the house. We had to be outdoors.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
but I think, the Yellowstone and the,
Mhm.
1883 and 1923, we absolutely love those. And
Yeah.
I watch everything. Like, murder shows are like mommy's murder shows is what we call them here. I like we've got Discovery Plus, we've got Paramount, we've got Netflix. We're watching them all of them everywhere.
Hilarious. My
So
husband tells every time he sees me watching one, he's like, "Ah, you're taking notes. You're taking
yeah,
notes."
that's the same thing.
I'm like, "Sweetheart, listen. Dude, it takes way too much energy. I've seen enough of these things. The amount of work that goes into having to actually murder and hide somebody, I couldn't do
I
it."
can't even finish my crochet project, so I think you're all right.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So, alrighty. Well, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Hang on. Don't go anywhere, so that we can say a proper goodbye. But I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody else go. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
take you off screen. Oh shoot.
Oh,
We're gonna come back so you can actually wave at people. I'm
oh,
sorry, I totally cut you off.
caught me
All
way
right. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today on the Buzz with Bizzy Crochet. We've had a wonderful time chatting with Sonya from Blackstone Designs, and I hope that you definitely get hooked up with her, get signed up for her newsletter. And if you are on YouTube, all of her information is going to be in the description below. And so I want to make sure that we send her off with lots of love. All right. Thank you so much, Sonya, for being a part of today, and we will talk with you guys next time.